Welcome back to the channel. My name is Håkan. Since I got the Ricoh GR3, so this is the original GR3, I have really come to like its 28mm focal length, and I thought in this video I would give you my reasons why I like it so much. So the 28mm feels like a very dynamic focal length. Instead of giving a feeling of being a spectator at a distance, I feel that the 28mm focal length instead gives you the feeling of actually being at the spot where the image was taken. So it's often stated that a 50mm lens replicates what your eyes are actually seeing, but that is only true to what your eyes can focus on. So that doesn't include your peripheral vision, which is out here somewhere. So what your eyes can see is actually a much wider field of view, and that's where I think that the 28mm focal length gives a better representation of what your eyes can actually see. And that is why I think the 28mm focal length gives a very interesting and unique perspective. So that is big reasons why I like the 28mm. With a wider focal length, you get deeper depth of field. So the 28mm on the Ricoh GR3 is no different. The depth of field, of course, depends on the sensor of your camera. So a 28mm lens on an APS-C sensor will have a deeper depth of field than a 28mm on a full frame sensor if you have the exact same settings. But in general terms, you will have a deeper depth of field on a wider angle lens than you have on a longer focal length, if you have the same settings, of course, because you can stop down on a longer focal length and you will have deeper depth of field on that lens also. But if everything is the same on both a wide angle lens and a longer telephoto lens, you will have deeper depth of field on the wider lens. And I think that is what draws me to this wider end of lenses, because I think if you have deeper depth of field in your images, that will replicate more of what your eyes are actually seeing, and I think the image will become more realistic, and that is something that I'm really trying to get into my images, that they should be more realistic. And I think with a deeper depth of field you get that feeling in your images. So that's another reason why I like the 28mm lens. The third and final reason why I really have started to like the 28mm, it's because it's a big challenge. Because it's so wide, it's really hard to isolate your subject, so your images doesn't become all cluttered with all kinds of different objects in your frame, and that makes it a real challenge, and you really have to be intentional with your compositions. And I think that is what kind of makes it fun to shoot with such a wide focal length, that it really um, challenge you to think about how you photograph your subjects. Now it may sound that the 28mm lens is my favorite focal length, I wouldn't say that. I don't really have a favorite focal length. I have just started to really enjoy shooting with a 28mm lens because the Ricoh GR3 is the camera that I always have with me. But honestly, I like all kind of different focal length. I usually shoot with zoom lenses on my Panasonic cameras. So I just use whatever focal length that allows me to capture the image that I'm after. Um, but I think the 28mm lens is really good. I think it's really fun to shoot with, and it really challenges you to capture some great images. So, do you have any favorite focal length? Please comment down below if you what your favorite focal length is, or if you have any thoughts on the 28mm lens or any other focal length. We'd love to hear your comments. So if you have liked this image, if you have liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to my channel. That would mean a lot to me. And yeah, that's it for this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Okay, bye.